Welcome back to the Budget Gamer channel, where we bring you critical and in-depth reviews of just about every indie game we can get our hands on, and today we're going to be taking a look at ArchLion Saga for the Nintendo Switch. And this little indie game is actually a really interesting title because it's a JRPG that was explicitly developed for people who don't like or are not yet fans of the JRPG genre. And in order to accomplish this, the developers sought out to completely remove the source of any issues that any style of gamer could have with JRPG-style games. First off, we see this appearing in how short and how direct the story of the game is. We're immediately introduced to a JRPG-style world split with allegiances to two different gods. One, the serpent, who's the god of death and darkness, and the other, the lion, who's the god of light and life. And wouldn't you know it, we greet our character who's waking up in the morning that he would begin his quest after having received the blessing, or the partial blessing, of the lion, which makes him one of 4 lion kings who are destined to face out the final 1,000-year battle against darkness itself. As you play through the game and experience its rapidly unfolding story, though, you'll also notice that exploration has been sufficiently reduced to keep the game more tight, like an adventure game. You'll explore different towns and dungeons and party build to gain a total of 4 different characters to fight that inevitable boss. And in each town you'll pick up one character from a unique scenario and navigate through one slightly linear dungeon with one boss at the end of the chapter. Each town will also have one shop with a couple pieces of equipment that are better than the last town but not quite as good as the next town, in that typical RPG and JRPG style. One of the interesting mechanics, though, for this more reduced exploration in the game is a helpful tool that developers threw in with a kind of destiny pathing system. Though there is a mini-map showing you where you are on the map with a scrolling ticker telling you exactly what you're supposed to do next, and even a chapter progress bar letting you know exactly how close you are to that final chapter boss and how close you are to moving on. If you press the left shoulder button, you'll also be given a bit of a destiny path, letting you know exactly where to go and which NPCs to talk to move the story forward. The combat in the game, though not exactly as reduced as the exploration and navigation through the game's overworlds, is also sufficiently reduced to only its primary assets. By the last chapter of the game, you will have built a party of 4 characters, and at any point in random combat, you can engage with up to 4 enemies. However, while this is still a turn-based combat dynamic, all the game's stats were pretty much rolled into one lump sum for each party. All characters on either side of the battle will pretty much just use one lump sum of stats, whether that's for their HP, their attack stats, defense, crit, or evade, and each combat turn only allows for one attack, which attacks the entire party itself. And while using a single HP bar and lump sum stats for the entire party does actually benefit the player by not needing them to really protect glass cannons or weak healers, it does actually take out a lot of the balance and strategy that would normally go into a turn-based battle mechanic. That isn't to say that there's no strategy in combat, though, because as you develop your party, each of your characters will gain unique skills that can only be used after certain actions have taken place. One of my favorite of these skills requires you to be below 50% HP, but then grants you a 5-turn long passive health regeneration. Additionally, ArchLion Saga also intends to reduce the confusion of the JRPG genre by actually cutting out a lot of the requirements for items. You'll pretty much be given one active healing item right off the bat, and then you can either purchase or find herbs, which are pretty much your only healing item for use after combat. And other than that, even though there are a couple of different items, such as one piece of armor and one weapon specific to each different character, the only other things that you'll find in the game are stars. And these stars are used for just about everything, whether it's unlocking doors or chests, or guaranteeing a critical hit on your next turn in combat, or even at the end of combat being able to spend a star to double the experience and gold gained. And though these stars can be found across the maps, when you engage in what little exploration is actually available, they're also gained through time. And should the little star-shaped clock at the top of the screen make one full revolution, you'll gain 1 star pretty much no matter what you're doing. And so in that sense, even the reliance on exploration to find these incredibly helpful little stars is reduced to pretty much 0. And as this is an incredibly short title that can be completed even as a full completionist run-through in about 2 hours and 45 minutes, maybe 3 hours if you're really taking your time, that's about it for the expose, and now it's time for the critiques. ArchLion Saga seeks to cut out everything that any gamer could have a problem with the JRPG genre of gaming, in hopes of opening it up to players who haven't experienced yet or are just kind of averse to it as it stands. This sufficiently reduces the story and diminishes the investment that a player can actually get out of it by reading into deeper character development or deeper backstories and mythos. The exploration of the game, while this is more designed to look like an adventure game, is reduced so much that most gamers who are a fan of exploration, or at least feeling like the game isn't scripted, might take it as a bit of a negative. And of course, anyone who's a fan of intricate tactics-based combat is gonna kinda have a bit of a problem with how sufficiently pared down the combat system is. But despite there being major flaws in all of the game's fundamental mechanics, I can't actually say it's a bad game, and I can't even say that I didn't enjoy my playthrough. The game is expertly done in its sense of reminiscence, and its visuals are really on point for what it's supposed to be. And as a pioneer into a pared down, reduced 3-hour JRPG, it is actually a really novel idea for the gaming world in general. And while I don't think that this game did everything it could to provide an expert experience for the player, I do think that ArchLion Saga opened up potentially a new threshold for a mini RPG. And while I probably wouldn't recommend the game too terribly highly, in all honesty, it was kinda fulfilling to beat a longer JRPG in the space of only 3 hours. It was a full story that ran the full emotional gambit, and if you just need a win in your corner, this one might actually be kinda satisfying. But anyway, that does about wrap up the review of ArchLion Saga on the Nintendo Switch, so if you enjoyed the review, or especially if you found it helpful, feel free to throw me a like or a comment to show your support. And don't forget to click that little bell icon when you subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. There are new and unique indie games coming out literally every single day, so there's always going to be some new game to discover right here. But anyway, this has been Budget Gamer, so as always, thanks for watching.